Hi and welcome to part 2 of the Laravel Roles and Permissions tutorial. I made this first video a few weeks ago and it seems to have got quite a lot of views, and a few people have asked me to do part 2. So in this video we're going to go through how to create an admin area and give other users certain permissions. I'm going to keep it quite simple for this part 2. And then maybe in part 3 we can go into doing using Vue to do a bit more of a complicated admin section where you can assign different roles. But for this video we're just going to do admin. So if you've not seen the video before, I'll put a link to it in the description. But this is the video where I basically go through how to set up your database and your roles relationship. But in that video I was just going through and using the database to just put in the roles, which roles each user has. And in this video we're going to go through and use the admin page to set these values instead of us having to manually use the database. So if we look back at the code from last time, we had this middleware that we set up so that we can check when you go to a certain page whether you have permission or not to go there. So basically when you access this admin page, this user has admin privileges so he can get to this page. But if I'm on user ID 2, so if I delete this and then refresh, it sends me to the no permission page. And I've just added one tiny thing from the last video. So as you can see now, we only have the user button. And then if I give that user the admin again, because their user ID 2 and the I'll just show you. Our admin role is ID 2, so I've given user 2 role 2, and then you'll notice now I've added a bit extra code which only shows the admin button if you have the admin role, which is what you'd like to have on your navigation. So you could use this same code, like the same check, in your navigation. So the way I've done that is just by going in my user model, and then I've added this little block here. So this is the relationship that we set up in the last video, and basically all I'm doing is I've got a method which accepts a string of the role name, which we're checking on admin in this case, and it basically just says get all the roles that this user has where the name equals whatever you pass to it. So in your Vue template, you can just say has role admin, and it will check if this user has any roles attached to it with the name admin and count them. And if it equals 1, then it means that they are admin, and if it doesn't, then it'll return false, which means that the user doesn't have permission, so it shouldn't show that bit of content. So I'll show you the actual view. So this is the check. I'll just space that out a bit. So this is the check here, which checks whether to show the button or not. So we're literally just doing auth user has role admin, and then if it returns true, it will show the button, and if it doesn't, it will hide it. So if I remove that now, and then there it's gone now that we've got rid of that role. So now that we've got that done, I won't bother putting it in the navigation because that's pretty simple. Like the main thing that you'll need is this check and the code from the model. I'm just going to try and keep it as simple as I can so that everyone can take away what they need from this. So let's create our admin page where we can list all of the users and then give each one admin or take away admin rights from each user. So let's have a look. So I might just do it on this admin page just to keep it simple. So let's just give ourselves admin again. So what I'm going to do is just output a list of the users on this system. And then I'm just going to have a button saying give admin rights or something like that. And then we can go through each one and be able to give each one admin. Obviously, there's better ways of doing this with Vue or JavaScript where it'd be a much nicer user experience, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. So the first thing we want to do is get our list of users. So let's have a look. So I'm going to create an admin controller just to keep it separate from the rest of our code. So I'm just going to call it admin controller. So the first thing that we need is a list of users. So I'm just going to do an index method just to output that to our view to start with. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do is pass through the roles as well. So I'm going to give it with roles. So what that'll do is just it'll attach the relationship of the roles. So when it brings through the list of users, we'll be able to see whether they have admin access or not. And then that'll allow us to show a different button whether they have admin access or not. And then we're just going to use that same admin view. So and then just pass it through the list of users. Right, so I was wondering why that didn't break then, but it's because we've not set up our route yet. I think this is going through the home route, which we need to change now. So let's have a look. So this, we must have done it in demo controller. So I'm just going to change this. So you'll notice that it's in, let's have a look. Right, yeah, so this, let's just change this to admin. I'll just have a quick look in that demo controller and make sure. Yeah, so if you can remember, we changed this so that instead of using the middleware, we did the check in the actual controller. So I'm going to put it back to using the middleware. So in our routes, I'm just going to enable this again. So if you remember, all that does is it says any root here within this root group, you must have the admin role to be able to access it. So let's have a look. So let's see if that's changed. Ah, I've not actually put it in a method, so I'm just going to cut that. So yeah, we've just got the index method which links to this index here. That's why it was complaining, so hopefully it should work now. Yeah. So now we just need to display those users in the UI. So let's have a look at our admin page. So I'm just going to do a for each to loop through each user. You would really want to paginate this in the future, but just for simplicity, I'll just leave it as a one big list for now. So then inside here, we just need, I'm just going to keep the UI really basic. Just using some Bootstrap. I think I can't remember if we're on Bootstrap 3 or 4. I think we're on 3, so I'll have to put the XS in. Actually, I'll just put. So I'm just splitting it in half. So I'm going to put the user's name on the left, and then the button to give them the admin permission on the right. Actually, underneath each user, I might just put what roles they have. So let's just see if that works to start with. Right, yeah, so that's, just need to, yeah, so there are users from the database. So then what I might do now is just next to each user, just output what roles they have. I know for now we've only got admin, but in future you might want to see different roles depending on what your system does. Users may have multiple roles, so you might want to see what they've actually got. So let's just see if we can do that quickly. So we're just going to loop through each user's roles. I might just make this small, just give it a grey text. Yeah, so you can see there both of those users have admin, and this coding is easy user does not have admin. So let's just check that's right. So the one without admin is ID 3. And then in our role users table, it's not there, ID 3, and the other two are, so that's right. So let's add our button now to, basically if a user has admin, we want to show a button saying remove admin, and then if they don't have admin, we want to show a button saying give admin. And another thing that you'd probably want to make sure you do, which a lot of people make this mistake, is you don't want to allow the system to lock you out. So on your user that you're logged in as, which is test, you'd want it to not show an option at all there, because, for example, if you owned a website and you had a button to remove admin on yourself, it means that you've got no control then. I know you could probably go on the database and give yourself it, but it's just a nice thing to consider. So let's try and show these buttons now. There is shorter ways of writing this code that I'm doing, but I'm just trying to keep it simple so that everyone can understand what the logic is behind it. So if actually we can just, this might work just by doing user has role. So in this one we want to show the remove admin, because this is users with just that have got admin already. Let's. The thing is, you'd probably want to do this as a form in future, but just for the ease of this, I'm just going to do it as a link, as a GET request. And in a future video, I'll go through a bit of a nicer way of doing this. But I think just to keep it simple, this is probably the best way to do it. So I'm just going to do it as a link instead. So let's do remove admin. Let's just give it a bit of a style. And then that's just, then we want to send through the actual ID. And we're going to have to make sure that this route is protected so that only admins can do this as well. So that's just going to add that current user to the end of that link. So then if we copy that and then put so then let's see if it works. Yeah. Let's just, not sure if this works in Bootstrap 3. Yeah. So there we've got, it can check if that user has admin or not. Obviously, you could have different buttons for different roles. And ideally, if you had a massive, like huge system, you'd click into each user, and then you would do this from inside there with a drop down or something like that. But just like I said, I'm keeping it simple. So if you look down in this bottom corner when I hover, it's showing that when you click on this one, it's going to remove admin, user 1, user 2, and this one it's going to give admin to user 3 because they don't have admin. So now we just need to set up those routes. So let's add 2 new routes. So remove admin. Just going to copy this. So then let's go to our, we're going to have to make sure that we put it inside this admin middleware group so that only admins can give or take away the admin access. So let's do, and then to do an argument, you just do, I think it's 1 curly braces. And then we want to do that inside the admin. That should be a capital. I'm just going to call it give admin. Obviously, if you had a bigger system with different roles, you'd want something that was dynamic. So you wouldn't want to hard code every single role in there, but just to show how this would work, I'm just going to hard code it. You would just have a form that takes an argument of a role, and then it just 1 or 2 routers could do the whole system. So that's the give admin. Oh no, that's remove. So I'll call that one remove admin, and then just copy that so that we can do our give admin as well. Right, and then we just need to add those 2 methods to this controller. So this user ID gets passed through from this here. So that's going to look at whatever's after the slash and a number, and then it's going to take that. And then, so we can do, I like using this first or fail instead of just first. If you use first or fail, it will throw an error. So say if a user's trying to just put in different IDs in the URL to try and get into your system, if you don't use the first or fail, it will just use the first one it finds that's similar, or just any that it finds. But if you use first or fail, if it doesn't find that specific one, it will throw an error. And you can catch the exception, which I'll probably show you in a later video, but for now it'll protect us against giving the wrong user admin. Then I'm just trying to think of the easiest way to show this instead of just trying to keep it as simple as I can. So if I just do admin role, and then oops. So that's going to get our admin role, and then we just want to attach it to that user. Obviously, you'd want to do a check, really. If you were being a bit more thorough than this, you'd want to check that this user doesn't already have admin access. But just for the sake of this, I'm just going to not do that check. So then you do think this is how you do it. It could be like this. It's been a while since I've done this kind of relationship, so we'll just have to try it and see if it works. So let's give that one a try. So let's try and give this guy permission. Oh yes, I just need to do. It's complaining that we have not put the use in. And then actually, just before I try that again, I'm going to redirect it back to the admin page. Once it's given them admin access, we want it to redirect back to that list, so we can give somebody else access if we want to. So let's give it another try. Role. Ah, I called it admin role. Let's give it another try. Let me just have a quick look at this. We might have to use this actually. Oh yeah, so this is exactly what we need. So it's just attach instead of save. So if I take that out of there, we might need just the ID actually of the admin role. Let's just give it a try and see. Yeah, so that's the role ID. So we want the ID, not the full object. So instead of passing it the full role object, we're just giving it saying attach this role ID to this user. So let's give it another try, see if it works. Well, it didn't redirect. I'm not sure why. Well, it's given the permission. Let's just see if it's added it in that table. Yeah, so it's added it in there. I'm just going to remove it so that we can try and get it to redirect. So that's gone back to give admin now that I've removed it. Oh, I think we need to do return. A return redirect instead of just redirect. Yeah, so that's working now. So now we just need to do the remove admin permission. So we're going to use pretty much a lot of this. So let's just copy that. What did I call it? Remove admin. So we still want to get the user and we still want to know what the admin role ID is. And I think then all you do is just do detach instead. Let's just have a quick look at the documentation. Yeah, so you can just do detach and then the ID. And if you wanted to remove all roles from that user, you could just do detach without an argument and it will remove all of them. So that should work straight away. So I don't want to remove mine. So I might add a check-in actually before I finish this video just to remove this button on my user. So yeah, that's removing and giving permission. So there should only be me now that has admin. Yeah, that's right. So let's just remove this button when it is my ID. So I think the easiest way to do that is just going to be in this list. So basically, where we want this remove button, we could just add another operator on here. So we could just do so basically all that's doing is saying the current iteration of this list if the user ID equals the currently logged in user ID. If it does not equal that, then and it has the role admin, then show the button. So hopefully now it should stop. We need to. Oh, it's because it's in an else as well. Actually, I'm going to change that. Let's just add another if. So it's not going to show any button if it's your user. So I've just split that up to put that check in, and then put these other two button checks inside that. So that it's not showing it on my user now. So you can click about without being scared of blocking yourself out of the system. Because if you clicked remove on your own user, you'd just get the no permission page, and then that'd be it. You'd have to start looking in the database to give yourself permission again. But yeah, I think that's about it for this video. It's quite a long one, but hopefully it helps you get on your way to creating your own admin page and implementing your own Laravel permissions and roles on your website. I might carry on with this series and do a bit more in the way of permissions instead of just roles, like deciding what things a certain role can do. So if you have a role, and then you can have permissions from that role to say that this user can, if they have this role, they can edit or they can delete or only view. I think that's a bit more like granular permissions, which some people might want. If you do want me to do a video on that, just leave me a comment, and if I get a few comments, I'll do a video on that as well. And if this video helped you, please comment and like the video and make sure you subscribe. Like it gives me motivation to carry on doing more videos like this. And even if you have any questions just on any Laravel topics, I'll try and answer them for you. I don't mind helping. And if I get enough questions on a certain topic, I'll do a video on it. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, and also thank you for the 200 subscribers. Went over the 200 mark this week, which it's probably not a lot compared to most channels, but it means a lot to me. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.